Stories are seeking greener pastures at all cost. My name is Osadmebi, and every week I usually tell you a short story written by a Nigerian writer or author. But this is Series Week, where I tell you a story over the course of 2 to 7 consecutive days. Basically, however long it takes to complete the story. Series Week will occur once a quarter, and the stories featured will still be written by Nigerian writers and authors, but will either consist of a sequence of related episodes from one story or a set of stories linked by a common theme. That's the long and short of it. So without much ado, today's story is by Solomon Hamza, and it's the 4th part of the story titled, We Do Not Belong to the Water. Catch up on earlier episodes in the week for parts 1, 2, and 3, and listen in tomorrow for the 5th and final part. Akuma was as industrious as a farmer during the rainy season and as ambitious as the devil. He was the Catholic Youth Organization Nigeria Vice President in our village, Umunike, and the one who planted the idea of going to Europe by road in my head. Azubike, there is nothing in this country, he would always mutter. Guy, but you have your keke business, I would reply. Nah, forget this keke business, I just dey manage. He had a faraway look in his eyes. If I dey Yankee dey hustle the way I dey do so, I for don hammer since. He would snap his thumb against his forefinger to emphasize since. I would let him ramble on, listening without speaking, until one day he confided in me that he would be leaving for France the following week. Akuma, have you gotten your visa and passport? I asked. He laughed and patted me on the shoulder 3 times. Dede, I dey follow Libya enter Yankee, I don't need all those ones. Guy, are you not scared of the risk? Many people have gone home by traveling via this route. He continued laughing. To God who made me, by crook or whatever, I am leaving this country. Greener pastures dey beyond. I was in shock as he made preparations and still in shock when he left. He was too eager to leave that he didn't even bother to see if his idea in my head sprouted or died like a flower that was uncared for. He left for Europe after he had raised enough money by selling his keke napep and adding to some of his savings. He promised to send me pictures when he gets there. Pictures of big and beautiful European cities. He told me he would stay in Italy for a while before proceeding to France. The countries had a lot of African immigrants like him, so he wouldn't feel out of place. But the Akuma I knew wasn't the type who cared about what people thought about him. He sets his mind to achieving something and then goes to achieving it. A true son of the soil. A week became 2. And the long, strong hands of time dragged and dragged until a whole month passed and added some weeks to it. But there was no news of Akuma reaching Italy or France. There were no pictures either. These things take time, I told myself. Maybe he was trying to settle down first before sending me the pictures. I was constantly on his Facebook timeline, checking for his posts and visiting his home regularly for any updates. One evening, exactly a year after Akuma's departure, a short man with skin the color of clay soil arrived at Akuma's family house. He said he came bearing news about Akuma. News developed wings and managed to reach the ears of the other villagers. Soon, people gathered around him like ants around morsels of rice in the sitting room of Akuma's family home. He was an experienced harbinger of news, letting off the words little by little and keeping us restless with anticipation until he arrived at the conclusion. He sat and cleared his throat before he began his story. He and Akuma boarded the same bus from Nigeria to Agadez, where they would travel through Libya and from there to Italy. He was detailed in his story, not minding the suspense that tugged at our hearts. After taking slow gulps of the water Akuma's younger sister kept on a small stool, he continued. He said that their journey was a success from Agadez to Sabrata until they got to the Mediterranean Sea. He said that the Dark Sea was so glad to see another set of Africans, hugged them tightly and whispered into their ears, "You all must come spend the night with me," then laid them to rest on its bed. The fatality was great. Many people fell for the sweet words of the sea and went with him, including Akuma. That it was just God that saved him before the Italian Navy came to his rescue and a few other survivors. He said that he and Akuma became close during that short journey, and that Akuma once mentioned his village to him and the name of his family. That was how he got to locate them. Akuma's mother was the first to react. "Hey! Hey! Chimo! Akuma, hey! Hey! The waters have taken my son from me. Oh, Akuma, hey! God!" The sky of her eyelids opened, and it rained tears. A heavy downpour that soaked her shirt and left her face in shimmering wetness. A playlist of elegies shuffled from the throat of sympathizers, rendering the air with their "Neozugo, Ozugo is enough. One name, take heart. The Lord gives and He takes. Oh, Mama Akuma, it's enough. It's okay. Nobody can question God, for He knows best." They held her. They told her Ozugo. But that did not stop her from mourning her son. Even when the stranger folded a neat envelope that was swollen in the middle and dropped it on her lap. When I got home that day, I racked my brain searching for days when Akuma missed a Sunday Mass, wondering why, if Akuma was all this while devotedly worshipping God, for him not to have saved Akuma like the stranger and the few other survivors. While I filled my head with fantasies about European cities, a good life with beautifully silky-haired, flaxen-skinned and straight-nosed women, Akuma's dreams went with the waters. But that didn't stop me from dreaming and working my ways to leave for Europe. After laying my hands on several businesses, both online and offline, and having failed woefully because of the unfriendly economy, I envisioned what Akuma had dreamt about. I also decided that I would not be going there alone, but with my brother, so we could have a better life abroad. What Akuma planted into my head has now grown into a full crop, and I will harvest all of it when I get to Europe. It has never been heard that the son of Umonike failed to go after his dreams. Never. The drivers didn't stop until we got to Zuwara, a coastal town in Libya which was closer to Sicily. They kept whizzing past desert towns which looked like no one lived there, past turbaned men walking in twos or more, past playful children the color of sand who waved and chased after our trucks until the dust that trailed behind us covered them. I did not stop steering clear of Ozao. I avoided him like a plague and made sure Chimobi did the same until we got on board in a motor ramp and a Libyan fisherman was asked to join us until we got to the Italian waters. I was happy it was not a wooden boat like the one in my dream. There were many stories that those who traveled in wooden boats hardly made it across. We sat shoulder to shoulder, holding on to the edges of the boat for support, and from time to time, the strong smell of petrol snaked its way through our noses and filled our empty stomachs. On the second day of our voyage, when the dolphins took it amongst themselves to end their thrilling circus performances, a Sudanese woman with the darkest skin I have ever seen began singing a sorrowful song in French. The song ached me because it felt like we were slaves journeying in slave ships to the land of the unknown. But soon, other voices joined the lone voice of the woman and filled the air with melancholia. It was obvious they understood French too. I looked sideways to see Osanho nodding to the song. My dislike for him increased. If he was not unfortunate, why would he be enjoying this funeral song? Our eyes met, and he waved at me. I pretended not to see him wave, and slowly returned my eyes to the sea. My eyes remained on the dark blue waters, with different thoughts crash landing on the walls of my mind. Thoughts of the people it had swallowed, of the dreams it had cut off, the way NEPA workers disconnected lights in my country, of the loss it had nailed into a family, the loss of a father, mother, son, daughter. sister or brother. I tried to imagine how violent it was during the months of unpredictable storms and excessive rainfalls when it was extremely dangerous to sail through. The guides in Libya said July and August were the best time to travel through it. I took in bouts of the smell of salt and thanked my chi because we were still in the month of August. Chimobi nudged me out of my thoughts. I hope this foreign land favors us. Of course, it will. I smiled at him. Did I not tell you we would make it in the end? He shrugged. I was worried at first. After what happened to Akuma, I thought, I was scared at first. Gee, we all have our different destinies. You will see, by the time we get to Europe, we would have forgotten about all these struggles and the trials we are facing now. You just wait and see. Chimobi looked sideways and smiled. I thought at first he was smiling at the baby of the woman sitting very close to us. When he rose his arms and waved, my eyes followed the direction of the arms like a lead. Ozan waved back at him, smiling. I was annoyed when I saw how happy he was after he had once suggested we cancel our trip and return back to Nigeria because of an ordinary dream. I returned my gaze to the sea, which was now as calm as a lake. When we get to the shores of Italy, I would be the one doing the waving, smiling into his face and bidding him goodbye. Solomon Hamza is a Nigerian writer who resides in Nasarawa State. He is a teacher, historian, and environmentalist. Connect with Solomon on X at st_Hamza001, on Instagram at st_IDAH001, and on Facebook at Solomon Hamza King. Details and links will be in the episode description. If you've got a story you would like to be featured on this podcast, or a published book you want to make into an audiobook, I would love to hear from you. Send an email to info@osadumebi.com or send me a message at Osadumebi on either Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, or X. I look forward to collaborating with you. And if you've enjoyed this week's episode, please subscribe, leave a review, and share this episode with that one person you know will enjoy listening. Tell them that stories are a good escape for a few minutes each week.